here she goes.
You're right.
Well, that looked pretty sporty to me. And there she is on the far side of the airfield. A very short takeoff run for a big aircraft. That sound, and of course the wonderful Vulcan howl coming from the 4 Rolls Royce Bristol Olympus 202 two-shaft turbojets. 16,500 pounds of static thrust, roughly, each of them. 65,000 pounds in total. Of course, these days she doesn't carry a lot of the equipment that she used to carry when she was an operational aircraft, including not carrying 2 navigators. That must have considerably reduced the weight, I guess. Speaking as one myself, I'm allowed to say that. But here she is coming back in front of us, and Bill Ramsey will be accelerating her down the line of the runway. At the end of her operational career in 1982, supported by no less than 11 Victors tankers, Vulcan 607 hit the centre line of the runway at Port Stanley in the Falkland Islands with 1 bomb and the edge of the runway with another, making that runway unusable for a short time at any rate for Argentine fast jets. Until the Gulf War, it was the longest bombing raid in history, 7,760 miles round trip, roughly the same distance as from here to Bali in one hop, and it took no less than 18 air-to-air refuelings to achieve that. That aircraft, 607, is now static at RAF Waddington. What, of course, that attack really did was to tell the Argentines that, first of all, it probably wouldn't be a good idea to base their fast jets on the island, but mainly that if things got really nasty, the Royal Air Force could actually reach their mainland. So, here she is coming back in towards us on the B axis, coming back straight across the airfield, and she'll go up into a spiral climb. When Vulcan left the service of the Royal Air Force in 1993, nobody believed that would ever be a flying Vulcan. But in the 90s, a little later, 2 people, David Walton, bought this aeroplane and all the available spares, and Dr. Robert Fleming, who felt that the RAF should preserve this iconic aircraft rather than toss it onto the scrap heap. The RAF didn't have the money to do that, and the end result was the Vulcan to the Sky Trust. And the biggest problem has always been money. It may seem obvious, but 658 is not funded by the government. She doesn't belong to the Royal Air Force. To get this far has cost more than £22 million, including, I should say, 2.7 million in a grant from the Heritage Lottery Fund. And I didn't mention them yesterday. I always mention them, and yesterday I didn't, and I got into awful trouble from Sir Peter Luff, so sorry, Sir Peter. That was very valuable at the time. So here she is, coming back in with her wheels down. talking about the money, and the rest of, or much of the rest of that £22 million has just come from you wonderful people. You've given your money in single pounds, in tens of thousands, and everything in between. Sir Jack Hayward has been wonderful. Eddie Forrester. There's been big support from the CAA, as well as the three technical authority companies, BAE Systems, Marshall Aerospace and Defence Group, and Rolls Royce. Many other companies have given fantastic help. Airbus, AD Holdings, Beagle Technology, Cranfield Aerospace. There are the bomb doors opening as she goes by. You get a glimpse of the size of that bomb bay there, and you'll be able to see the bomb doors closing as she comes back round in front of us again. That enormous bomb bay, of course, the heart of the bomber, that was what carried the 21 1,000-pound bombs all the way to the Falkland Islands. So 10 tons or so. A staggering amount. These were, let's not forget, dumb bombs, wartime type bombs, World War II, and they were not guided in any way, so if you needed to hit a pinpoint target, like a bit of a runway, you had to really do overkill. So of the 21 1,000-pound bombs that they dropped, they hit the runway with 2 of them. Let me just finish those companies to whom we owe so much. Beagle Technology, Cranfield Aerospace, Goodrich, Kearsley Airways, Meggitt, Messier Doughty, and Serco. Now, as she comes round this time, you will see the bomb bay doors closing. At the moment, the bomb bay just holds the names of lots of people who've contributed some of that £22 million. As we know, this is her last season, and it is the 3 technical authority companies that will finally bring Vulcan's illustrious flying life to a close. They have together decided to cease their support at the end of the 2015 season. The support of the 3 technical authority companies under Civil Aviation Authority regulations, Vulcan will be prohibited from flying. She'll lose her permit. So it isn't about funding, although of course funding remains difficult. It's still costing £2 million a year to run her. And it's not about the supply of spare parts. It is about the So she's into an area of unknown unknowns. The maintenance of her excellent safety record requires the expertise that is increasingly difficult to find. She's still being enjoyed by around 3 million people every year. That's 50% more than 3 years ago. And she's going to do probably another 20, maybe more air shows this year. So, you know, you do have other chances to see her. When she's finished, she's going to become part of an extraordinary team at her home base of Robin Hood Airport, Doncaster, Sheffield, otherwise known as Royal Air Force Finningley. The Vulcan team and the Aviation Skills Partnership are going to create a new life for her as the centrepiece of the Etna project. It'll be an aviation academy and a heritage skills centre. It'll showcase technological achievements. It'll be the next best thing to flying, with things like fast taxiing for 558. It's called Mount Etna. Of course, you knew that was the workshop for the god Vulcan, and the Etna project will be like the Eden project, but for engineers. Now, here's a special treat. As she flies down the runway, you see the red arrows. The red, white and blue of the red arrows, they start their takeoff and they will all be joining up before too long. Seems a shame to break up such a perfect formation. But there it is. There are her wheels coming down. All 18 of them down. And as she comes down on final approach, you will probably be able to see the air brakes, top and bottom, sticking out from the wings. I sometimes get into a discussion with people as to whether Vulcan ought to be a she or an it. Some people think very firmly it, but I'm sure she's a she. She's like a ship. She's immensely graceful and very beautiful. But the man who has the deciding word on that is Taff Stone, the man who I tell you was the crew chief and the chief engineer. He says 558's my baby. He says she's high maintenance, she's temperamental, but despite all that, he loves her. And I think we all owe a huge vote of thanks to Taff and the 7 engineers that I mentioned earlier for keeping this magnificent 55-year-old aeroplane still flying for all of us.
Half an hour, and we hope you are ready for it, because it is time, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, for the Red Arrows, and please welcome Squadron Leader Mike Ling. Well, a very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. You just heard I'm Squadron Leader Mike Ling. I'm Red 10. I'm the supervisor with the Royal Air Force Aerobatic team, the Red Arrows. I'm going to talk you through this display this afternoon in the fabulous blue skies here above the Royal International Air Tattoo. And I'll be making sure your eyes and cameras point in the right direction so you get to enjoy the full spectacle. Well, the Red Arrows have been cleared to display now that XH558 has landed after that fantastic mixed formation flypast. Truly a sight to behold, and I hope lots of people got lots of memories on their cameras to share with us all on social media later on. Well, the pilots are getting ready to display. When they run in, they're going to be in a formation we call Big Battle, a big V shape. The aircraft will be around 20 feet away from each other, flying at 400 miles an hour. And I'm very sure Red 1 will be flying our full display in this beautiful blue sunshine. He has just said starting full. So he's going to be starting very shortly with some fabulous red, white and blue. Now, boys and girls, I've been a Red Arrows display pilot myself. I do know that when they fly past, the pilots will see you waving. And ladies and gentlemen, please claps and cheers as loud as possible so I can pass it on the radio. So please get the vocal cords warmed up. Here they are. Sunday afternoon in the sunshine, the Royal Air Force Aerobatic Team for 2015, the Red Arrows. I'm calling.